Hello everyone. So 2018 is pretty much halfway over, I guess you could say, or it's halfway through of being 2018, and I've done a few videos talking about like the middle of the year and checking up, such as the mid-year book freakout tag where I asked a variety of questions of what you've read this year. I've also done a couple quarterly videos, most recently my books I read this past 3 months, but this video is going to be showing you all of the books I've read so far in 2018. We are halfway through 2018, so I thought it'd be fun to show you what books I have read so far this year, just as a little recap to let you know what I've read, what I rated them, and things like that. So that's what this video is that's all this video is going to be. It's just literally me holding up each book I read this year. If not, a picture will be up, and sharing with you what I rated the book. So that's all it's going to be. If I have reviews for any of these videos, I will try to link them down below. If they might be a lot, there are going to be a lot of them. So I'll have my book review playlist down below for all the books I reviewed, because I've reviewed a lot of these books. So yeah, before I get into that though, I do want to talk about some stats, because I love looking up statistics and things like that of just seeing how my reading year is going so far. So for the total of this year, by the way, I'm counting this at the end of June because I feel like that's 6 months. So you have January, February, March, April, May, June. So I'm counting all the books I've read from January till the end of June. And so far I have read 55 books this year, which I think is awesome. Out of those 55, 31 of those that I've read are YA or young adult books, and 24 of them are adult books. I really enjoy. I think it's a good mixture. I feel like it's a pretty good split between, it's almost half of what I've read, like going to each genre. I think I could really up more my adult game, but I think my reading adult books has already been upped a lot, so I'm pretty happy with that. Breaking it down even further, going into the YA, I have read 17 contemporary books within the YA genre, 11 fantasy books, and 3 sci-fi books. And going into an adult, like I said, I read 24 adult books. Breaking that down, I read 13 literary fiction books, 7 chick lit books, and 4 thrillers. So I think I'm doing pretty good. By the way, I've read a couple of historical fiction, but I just threw that out with literary fiction. I just try to, you know, I don't want to have too many subgenres, but yeah, I think that's really great so far. As far as my ratings go, I have given 7 books 5 stars, which I think is pretty decent for halfway through the year. I have given 21 books 4 stars, which is, I think, is decent. Commonly rated is 3 stars, which I've given 24 books, and I have given 3 books a 2-star rating and 0 books 1 star. I very rarely give out 1 stars. 2 stars is pretty low for me, I'd say. So yeah, those are just some quick stats for you to tell you how my reading progression is going. So like I said, I've read 24 adult books and 31 YA books. I think that's really great. I said this year one of my biggest goals was to read more adult books, and I think I've really done that. I think I could do better, especially in the second half of the year, so I'm going to attempt to do that. So now I'm going to show you all of the books I read this year, going by month, and telling you what books I read and what I rated them. So it's going to be a pretty long video because it's 55 books to show, so let's get to it. The very first book I read in 2018 was Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, which I gave a 3 out of 5. I have Meet Cute, which was edited by Jennifer L. Armentrout and has a whole bunch of authors in it. It is a YA anthology. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Still Me by Jojo Moyes, which I gave a 4 out of 5. Thunderhead by Neil Schusterman, which I gave a 5 out of 5. Sourdough by Robin Sloan, which I gave a 2.5, maybe closer to 3 stars out of 5. Some of these books, I'm still very uncertain about their ratings, honestly. Music Shop by Rachel Joyce, which I gave a 3.75 out of 5. Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which I gave a 5 out of 5. Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, which I gave a 3 out of 5. Life Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, which I gave a 4 out of 5. And lastly, in January, I read Love, Hate, and Other Filters by, oh my goodness, I forgot the author. I feel so horrible, but either way, here's a picture of it, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Moving into February, I read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, which I gave a 5 out of 5. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I also gave a 5 out of 5. The Bells by Dawn Young Clayton, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Leads by Christina Lauren, which I gave a 3.75 out of 5. Sides of a Heart, which is another YA anthology, and I gave this a 2 out of 5. So a 2 out of 5 is Beautiful Broken Hearts by Cami Garcia. And lastly for February, I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guarini, which I gave a 3 out of 5. Coming into March, I read The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin, which I gave 3.75, maybe closer to 4 out of 5. Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strasser, which I gave a 3 out of 5. In the Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Some of these I'm still like mulling over the ratings. I don't know why I like continue to think about them after I read them. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, which I gave a 4 out of 5. Killing Kingdom by Alexander Christo, which I also gave a 4 out of 5. Prize Me by Sophie Kinsella, which I gave a 3.5, 3.75 out of 5. Young Jane Young by Gabrielle Zevin, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Everlist by Sarah Holland, which I gave 2.5, maybe 3 out of 5. Lastly, Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I gave a 5 out of 5 too. I think I gave this 5 out of 5. I feel like right now I'm just gonna say a 5 out of 5. In April, I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, which is another 5 out of 5. Who's surprised? Circe by Madeline Miller, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Miss Me When I'm Gone by Rachel Lynn Solomon, which I also gave a 4.5 out of 5. Stay Sweet by Siobhan Vivian, which I gave a 2.5 out of 5. Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, which I gave a 4 out of 5. Woman in the Window by A.G. Finn, which I gave a 2 out of 5. And lastly, The Queen of Hearts by Kimberly Martin, which I gave a 3.75 out of 5 too. Moving into May, I read Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch, which I gave a 3 out of 5. On the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, which I gave a 3.75 out of 5. Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, which I gave 3.75 out of 5. 9 Days and 9 Nights by Katie Kadugna, which I gave a 4 out of 5. Little Do We Know by Tamara Arlene Stone, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Last Miss Parish by Liv Constantine, which I gave a 2.75 out of 5. Always Never Yours by Emily Sigma Broca Austin Sigma Broca and Emily Wibberley, which I gave a 3 out of 5. Lastly, in May, I read the Beartown series, which comprises of Beartown and Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I gave Beartown a 4.5, maybe 4.75, maybe 5. I get I'm having a hard time thinking about it. And Us Against You, which I definitely gave like a 4.25 out of 5. In June, I read The Kiss Quiltin by Helen Huang, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. The Date by Morgan Matson, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Twinkle with Love by Sienna Menon, which I gave also a 3.5 out of 5. How to Walk Away by Catherine Center, which I gave a 3 out of 5. Oxford Year by Julia Whelan, which I gave a 3.75 out of 5. Listen to Your Heart by Casey West, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 as well. Fury Boar by Claire Legrand, which I gave a 4 out of 5. Princess by Lauren Sebastian, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5. And lastly, the last book I read in June was A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir, which I gave a 5 out of 5 too. Those are all of the books that I've read so far this year. Looking at this pile, because it's crazy right now, it's a lot. 55 is a lot. I would like to say I'm going to slow down my reading because sometimes I do feel like I'm pushing myself, but who's to say? Right now I'm on a really good reading streak and I'm really interested and happy about what I'm reading. Of the year, I'm really going to try to read more adult books because I do really enjoy the adult books that I read, and I'm really happy that I'm reading more. Of course, a lot of the YA I've read this year I've really enjoyed as well, so I never want to break away completely from YA, but I want to keep a good mixture because I think as I'm growing, my reading also grows as well. So yeah, I'm going to cut this off now because it's a lot to clean up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of the books that I read this year. I think I'm really happy. I have no like notes other than to read maybe more adult books, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with my progression so far. So I hope you enjoyed this video, a little sneak peek into statistics and things like that, just curiosity of what books I've read this year. And if you did enjoy it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, be sure to hit the little notification bell, notifications of when I upload new videos, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.